Hello, everybody. At this point, I've lived in Nicaragua for around 5 years, and I think I'm in a good position to kind of share for some of you if this is a good place for you to be. Because I love it. Like, really, especially seeing what's happening to my generation, the cost of living in the United States, the deteriorating quality of life. If you have online income and you live in Nicaragua, you can have an incredibly high quality of life. Basically, I had lived in a whole bunch of countries growing up, and for my childhood, like teenage years, I lived in the United States. So from age 11 to like 23-ish, I lived in the US. I went through high school. I saw people die of drug addiction. I saw people I knew kill themselves. I saw a lot of horrible things in that country. And I'm not going to say that that's everyone's experience, but my experience in the US is there's a lot of suffering there. And what's weird is people are always talking about freedom. I don't know about you, but I didn't see freedom living there. If you want to get chickens, you can't do that. You're not allowed to have animals. Your neighbors will kick you out. You want to paint your house a different color? No, you can't do that. You got to get the approval of the homeowners association that you pay hundreds of dollars a month for. And this is relevant to you if you want to actually live in Nicaragua. It's all about how you feel where you already are. Are you a person who feels like the quality of life in the developed nations is deteriorating? Are you a person who wants to make your own food and take care of animals without having to go off into the countryside? You want to live close to the city and take care of chickens, that kind of thing? If you want to study permaculture or plants or anything to do with gardening or the tropics, then Nicaragua is a wonderful place to live. Absolutely wonderful. Incredibly convenient. But that's not most people. And what I've come to understand is that most people won't live a good life here in Nicaragua. So let me get into more of that, because if you can understand why people leave, then it'll put you in a better position to know if you should come to the country. Okay? So essentially, all the stuff you hear about online, I'm not even going to get into that, but you need to know your history, okay? For 100 years, the U.S. has been attempting to destroy this land. The U.S. has been messing with it, making violence here, paying people to kill people, and then blaming the others for it, doing nasty, horrific shit. We were charged with war crimes, and then our response to that charge by the International Court of Justice was to veto it. We literally got charged and then vetoed it. And we were like, this is what we say to the Nicaraguan politicians. We say, don't bring that up. If you bring up reparations, we will cease humanitarian aid. Like, what the is this shit? And so here we go. Now I've done enough of this to alienate those of you who are very pro-US, because you're not going to like it here. Like, really, if you believe all of the US narrative, you're not going to like it in Nicaragua, because you're going to believe this stuff online. You're going to think it's a horrible country with a dictator who ruins everything. No one has any freedom. There's no freedom of anywhere. There's no freedom of speech. So you know what? That's true. You can't go out in public and talk shit about the government. You'll get put in jail, put under house arrest, or kicked out of the country. That is real. But can you own land? Yeah. And it's cheap. You can find like a small plot of land in a rural area for $4,000. Like really, really cheap. You can get food. You can get anything delivered to your house if you live kind of close to the capital like I do in Managua. I've had animals delivered to my house. I've had building supplies delivered to my house. I've had Nintendo 64 games delivered to my house. Everything. Anything you want, you can have here. The whole thing online, really, at the end of the day, most shit you hear about Nicaragua is an absolute bullshit. It's not real. However, there is one thing that is real, and that is that Nicaraguans struggle to find jobs. And if you want to know why people are actually leaving the country, it's not because of some dictator. It's not because of this. It's because they can't find work. Really, that's the issue. And for me, this is like, wow, that's so simple. Just work online. But they think that they can't. And that's what's so sad for me. Speaking to Nicaraguans, there's this inferiority complex. They believe that they're inferior to Americans or US people. It's sad. And I'm not saying all Nicaraguans are like this, really. Not all of them are like this. But most of them have been conditioned to think that they are less, to think that they have less opportunity online simply because they're from Nicaragua. I've shown people how to earn money online, and they look me in the eye and tell me, no, Jack, I can't do that. I'm Nicaraguan. And they totally and utterly believe it, which is bizarre to me because I run this YouTube channel. Guess what? It's in the identity of a Nicaraguan person, and a Nicaraguan bank account receives the income from it. I know how to receive money to Nicaraguan accounts online. I know how to get Nicaraguans jobs working for at least $5 an hour, sometimes $10, $15, $20 an hour, working in the economies of other countries, online, through skill building and all these things. And that's what's crazy. Like, if you have online income, if you even believe that you can get a job working on a computer, you can live a beautiful, amazing life in Nicaragua. Really, it's that simple. And it doesn't matter if you're a foreigner or you're a local here in Nicaragua struggling to find work. The answer is the same. You have to work online. You have to believe that that is possible. And online income and living in Nicaragua is the key to a beautiful, wholesome life. I didn't even know what it was like, honestly, living in the US. I didn't know what it was like to be a human. I knew what it was like when you earn more money, but no matter how much more money you earn, it all ends up going away. You never seem to be able to save up. The car breaks down, your insurance rates rise, your rent gets doubled over a period of 3 or 4 years. Like, here, that shit isn't the reality. Really. Like, I've been paying the same rent for like 3 or 4 years. Okay, 3 years. I've never had a tenant, or I've never had a landlord raise the rent on me. Ever. I've always been able to just rent places. Here in Nicaragua, there is an abundance of places to rent, and very few people able to afford to rent them. That's how it is. So, I'm sharing all of this with you because I want to give you a taste of all these different forces. Because if you're a person who believes that the US spreads democracy throughout the world and we're all great, you shouldn't come here. Like, really, you should stay away. But if you understand that the democracy that we spread is actually a box of assault rifles, it might be good for you here. This country provides a glimpse of hope for what a better life is like. But again, you need to have online income. It's very, very important. You can't, one, as a foreigner, it's illegal for you to take a job from a Nicaraguan. And two, if you're a Nicaraguan person, you're always going to struggle to earn more than $3 or $4 an hour if you're working inside the country. Even if you get a degree or a college degree and you're fully educated, you might be able to find a $5 an hour job. But what if I told you that if you just work online, work part-time, and earn $10 an hour? I know if you were listening to me and you're in the US, you're like, Jack, $10 an hour isn't enough to live. That's where you're wrong. Here in Nicaragua, it is. You can live a beautiful life in Nicaragua with $1,000 or a month, or less than that, a little bit less, maybe $900. You can have a really good life where you don't have to be perfect. You can be a bit frivolous. You can waste some money. You can buy some gifts for your lover or your friends or whatever. You can live with dignity. Really, you don't have to trade all of your time to work so that you can have nothing after you pay your bills. In Nicaragua, just $1,000 a month is enough for a decent life. $2,000 a month? Shit! You can raise a whole family off of that. And that's another thing. If you're the kind of person who is not happy in the developed country that you live in, but you're interested in having children, Nicaragua is a really good option. I know that some of you listening to this might think that that's insane because Jack, there's no education. Education sucks there. And look, from my perspective, education sucks anywhere. You need to educate your children yourself. You need to make your children your full-time job. Our society has problems because every one of these people, these politicians running in power, they come from environments where their parents were not there for them. Very few people had the love and time of both of their parents in their lives growing up. It's basically unheard of. But here in Nicaragua, I tell people about that and they're like, what? Like here, people live with their family. They spend a lot of time with their family. Most people here don't even pay rent because they live with their family. Like, it's weird to pay rent. That's not a normal thing for most Nicaraguan people. Most Nicaraguans don't even have a bank account. I'm not kidding. It's not normal to pay rent. It's not normal to have a bank account. That's how fundamentally different it is here. And when I tell people, like, in my country, you don't really get to see your family. You know, they work all the time, and you see your coworkers way more than your family. And your children, you got to pay for them to be in daycare because you're not around and you got to work. And these days, everything's so expensive. Both parents basically have to work. And then they have to pay for daycare. And that's $500 or $600 a month. And at the end of the day, to have a child in the United States costs $400,000 to raise that kid to the age of 18. Holy shit, that amount of money here in Nicaragua, you could raise like 5 kids and spend all your time with them, have a really great life, give them everything they need to go off into the world and earn good money. So it's all about where your head's at. Because if you watching this are trying to figure out if Nicaragua is the right option for you, first off, you got to visit. But second off, I can tell you right off the bat that there's a few people it does work out for, okay? If you're interested in plants or permaculture or farming, if you are frustrated with quality of living conditions in the developed world, or if you want to homeschool children. These 3 things are really great in this country, like really, really, really great. The final point I'll make is that me as a person, I didn't even know what it meant to like be a man and live with dignity. Like here in Nicaragua, if I need to, I can provide for my fiance. Like I can afford to do that. And I don't have to work 40 hours. I just work like 5 to 15 hours a week. I have all this time to do all of the things that I care about in this life. And if you're at the end of this video, honestly, Nicaragua would probably be a great option for you. Really. Because most of the people who it's not a good option for will have left when I started talking about, U.S. doing nasty things here. Most Americans just don't want to hear that. Like, really, even if it's true, we just don't want to hear it. So, the fact that you're here means you could probably visit the country and have a great time. Don't worry too much about all this crap online. There's always new things online saying how shitty life is in Nicaragua. And the worst part of that is it affects the locals. So many people here, like I said, they've looked me in the eye and said, "No, Jack, I'm a Nicaraguan. What you do is impossible for me." But that's not real. That's not true. You don't need U.S. citizenship to earn money online. I know this very well because now I've facilitated multiple Nicaraguans getting their own accounts, figuring out how to receive money online, finding jobs from other people. And they've gotten paid without any kind of U.S. identity or any kind of thing in my name. So I know with absolute certainty, Nicaraguan people can earn money online. Okay? That is fact. There is nothing that actually stops them aside from their own minds. Just like all of us, we are all our own greatest obstacle. But if you comment below, ask me to make a specific video about something, I'm much more likely to do it, all right? If you want to talk to me, I offer a consultation service. It's $20 per 30-minute session, and you can find that link right here in the top of the description, or you can go to calendly.com/Jack Dermot Pittman. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!